We're going to start with probably the biggest upset in terms of expectations and the hype surrounding the Cavs, and if they could flip the switch, as they like to say. Unfortunately for Cleveland fans, there was no sign of a switch to flip in that first game. That was a rout from the first quarter when, Cleveland put up 14 points for the first quarter, which was their lowest first quarter tally all season. Pacers put up 33 just in the first, and pretty much from there it was all over. The Cavs made a run late in the third and cut it to 7. But every time, I think that was the most impressive thing, every time that the Cavs made that run and that push, the Pacers and Oladipo just responded each time with a couple of big shots, some defense, and it was gone again.
Oh, yeah, and it's just something that we never would have expected from this team come the start of the season. Like, we remember Indiana a couple of years ago when LeBron was at the Heat. They were kind of his biggest challenger in the East, and
that was a big rivalry.
We thought we'd lost that Indiana side, but they've recruited really well, drafted really well, and traded really, really well for Oladipo, and have now become a team that is very dangerous in the East.
Yeah, and I think we are going to get to the Cavs because they're obviously the big talking point, but I think to start with, it is fair to say that Indiana deserve credit because, there was a stat put up on the broadcast that this was just their second national television game for the entire season. The Cavs had 40. So for everyone who's just seeing the Pacers for the first time and going, oh, wait, these guys are actually pretty good. Yeah, they are pretty good. And Victor Oladipo is not just a gimmick. He is for real. He is incredible. He had 32 points, 6 of 9 from 3. He had 6 boards, 4 assists, 4 steals, and a block. His performance last year in the playoffs with OKC was miserable. He shot 24% from 3, was Roberson-esque in terms of his shooting for the Thunder, and he only scored 54 points in that entire series. He's going to pass that in Game 2.
Well, I think the thing is that he's been given the keys to this team, and obviously you're playing on OKC, you're playing with Russell Westbrook, you've got to kind of take a step back, and he kind of was almost just a spot-up shooter at OKC, whereas now he can just do what he wants, really, and
he runs that offense.
And even defensively, he had 4 steals. He was the leader in steals in the league for the regular season. So
probably first or second team all defense.
I'd say he's first. I'd say, but he's just so dangerous on both ends of the floor, and if he keeps it up, there's not much you can do to stop him, really.
And Cleveland really don't have anyone to stop him. You're going to be asking LeBron again. Is there anything more you want to ask him to do? Because they don't really have anyone who can stop him. And on top of that, there's still room for improvement. Bogdanovic was only 1 of 6 from 3, and he's a 40% shooter over the season. So unlikely he'll go 1 of 6 again. Collison as well was 2 of 9. Miles Turner was good, 16 points, but he can be a lot better. Thaddeus Young just had the 7. You got good Lance and bad Lance, which you're going to get every game. But I just think there's still room for improvement, which is a big issue for the Cavs because they were just woeful. Yes, we know their defense has been terrible. And like we said last week, I'm not worried about LeBron flipping the switch on the defensive end. It's everybody else. He can't do this himself. But it's the fact that their offense was just as bad as their defense. 80 points. 80 points on their home floor. Outside of LeBron, who had 24, all their other starters combined had 25.
Jesus.
Kevin Love had 9 points in his 34 minutes. Yes, he did have 17 boards, but on top of that, they were picking him to shreds defensively. He just can't defend the rim. Then you've got Jeff Green, who was 0 of 7 from the field, 0 points in his 27 minutes, which was Ty Lue's trump card lineup change, which was an absolute disaster. George Hill is clearly still dealing with a back injury, but he only scored the 7 points. Rodney Hood had 9. Larry Nance Jr. had 10 off the bench. Clarkson only had 6. They've got nothing. And LeBron as well. He had a good game. 24 points, 12 assists, 10 boards. So he had a triple-double.
Yeah.
But he just, when he wanted to, there were stages when they were coming back where he just looked so aggressive, so dominant. When he wants to get to the rim, he's going to get to the rim. Even if, I mean, Stevenson was guarding him for some portions of the game, but there's no one on that team, there's no one in the world really who can stop him getting to the rim if he wants to.
Yeah.
But he just looked gassed. I mean, he played 44 minutes. Like, it's you can't expect him to do everything, but his first shot came with 1:24 left in the first quarter. Was he too conservative?
I don't know, because you look at the stats at the end of the game and he went 7 of 17 from the field, and you think maybe he was a bit too conservative. Maybe he did need to get it going really early in the game and see that ball going in the hoop, and then it gives him that confidence. Not like LeBron needs the confidence, but it's good for any basketball player to be out there and just see the ball go in the ring and just get into your flow and just get going at the start of a game, especially at the start of the playoffs.
I think the issue for LeBron is he knows that he's not going to win the finals by himself.
No.
If he's going to win the finals, it's got to be these other guys stepping up. So I think for him, he's trying to get them involved because he knows that he can turn it on whenever he needs it. Yeah. And he's not so much worried about this series, but he's thinking forward of these guys need to get going if we're going to A, make the finals, and B, pose any threat to a Houston or a Golden State, which clearly with those numbers, if they perform like that again, they may knock it out of the first round.
It would be interesting to compare this game one to probably the last couple of years and even a lot of his career where he hasn't had a great supporting cast. Yeah. Because he's never lost a game one, round one.
He's also, that was 21 game win streak snapped in the first round. So
it's interesting to see. It would be interesting to see if this game has been any different to what it has been in previous years for LeBron. Has he always tried to get his teammates involved early? Has he always played this many minutes? Like it'd just be an interesting comparison.
I mean, the thing, if we just go into the Cleveland years, the recent ones, not before he left to Miami, they just miss Kyrie so much. This is where they miss him because they just don't have another offensive player who they can go to as a spark plug. They've just got no one else for scoring.
And the Isaiah Thomas deal, like in theory, it was all right if Isaiah Thomas is healthy.
Was fit and healthy, which wasn't going to work.
Yeah, we know what happened there, and it just, I guess it just sucks for LeBron because Isaiah was probably the player he needed. If he was going to replace Kyrie, he needed another scoring point guard.
He needed 28 points per game, Isaiah, not the Isaiah they got. Because really, they just don't. I mean, yes, George Hill is a facilitator, but as I said, he's still struggling with a back injury. He only played the 19 minutes.
He had 1 assist.
Yeah, but exactly. And they just don't have anyone. Like Kevin Love is just too comfortable sitting on the three-point line. He doesn't demand the ball. And then the other guys like Jeff Green, they're so streaky. It's just, you just never know what you're going to get with them. Are they going to get out of the first round? Which is ridiculous to say, but are they going to get out?
Look, I think you can never count out LeBron.
That's the thing.
You learn it every year. I think everybody does it. You always count him out. You're like, he's not going to get out this year. He's not going to get to the final.
And then he has a 40-point triple-double.
And then he pulls it from nowhere, and it's amazing to watch, but this is probably the first year where he hasn't had that superstar second option. And Kevin Love's he's a very good player, but
they're not utilizing him properly. So
I don't think he can score 25 points, score 30 points a game to kind of complement LeBron. And then got to think about where's it going to come from.
Where's the offense coming from? Forget the defense. Where's that offense?
And you could see Rodney Hood lighting it up one night. You could see Jeff Green lighting it up one night. You could even see JR going mental one night and hitting a couple of threes. But you can't rely on your team having to figure that out night by night. Who's going to be the guy who's going to score? Yeah. You've got to have a guy you can go to.
Yeah. And they don't have anyone outside of LeBron who's a consistent. We know you're going to give us 20 points a night, which is a huge issue. I mean, JR was probably the better of the guys off the bench. He had 15 points. He started slowly, but then he did get going. Part of their run was where he started to knock down a couple of his threes. Yeah. I'd say there's a high chance he probably gets put back into the starting lineup. There's been some talk about it. I mean, I'm not sure how Ty Lue can say that Jeff Green deserves another shot in the starting lineup. I mean, maybe it's too harsh to cut him after one, but that was just miserable. And another performance like that.
Maybe even throw a guy like Nance into the lineup instead of
I like
Jeff
Nance when
Green.
he's on the court for them. He's just that energizer bunny, and he adds something different to them. I do think for the Pacers, though, I do worry about when Oladipo's on the bench because I just think there's too many times when that happens that Lance tries to take over. I love Lance in terms of it's just an experience to watch him play. You just get the full package. It's just, you never know what's going to happen. But when he's in control, I'm really nervous for the Pacers. It's just like, this could be brilliant, but it could also be awful.
I just think the thing that gives the Pacers the edge is that they just have players who know their role and aren't looking to be that 30-point scorer, whereas they know Oladipo's got the keys to the team, and then guys like Bogdanovic is just will shoot his shot, is score 15, 20 points a game. Miles Turner will get a couple of easy layups and a couple of easy putbacks. A guy like Thad Young can score when needed, and they're all guys that just that know their place and just know that when they need to turn it on, they will.
Yeah,
and it almost looks like that this could be the team that knocks off Cleveland.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, we've talked about the 21 consecutive first-round victories for LeBron, but the teams he was versing, they didn't finish below the 3 seed generally. Like, they're 1 or 2. This is the first time they've had to face like a team that's actually with them. Usually they would be facing a Bucks or something where they haven't had those issues. Whether I think the Pacers is one of the better teams, and Oladipo, if he continues that play, is going to be one of the better players.
This is a team that should be top 4. There's absolutely no doubting that this is a team that should be in the top 4 of the Eastern Conference.
They're a brilliant team, and I think I would still go with LeBron, just because
until they if they take game 2,
if they go up
Cleveland,
2-0, especially with home court.
Yeah, I really cannot see Indiana losing this, but I think after everything that's been said after game 1, I wouldn't be surprised if LeBron comes out, scores 50 points, gets a huge triple-double.
As LeBron said, he was down 3-1 in the finals.
Yeah,
so that's
the thing. You never count LeBron out. But
they're going to be okay for this round, but the alarm bells for further on the playoffs.
And that's the thing. If they get pushed to 6 or 7 games in this first round, LeBron has to play. He's already played 82 games this season, which is something he's never done.
And played 44 minutes in the first game. He's going to have to play every game.
Well, he'll have to play 40-plus minutes. There's no doubting that he plays 40-plus minutes if they win.
When it gets to the finals, he's going to be... I mean, he's probably the best in the league in terms of looking after his body. His durability is second to none, but that's pushing it to even LeBron.
Like we spoke about, he's like they've never fallen below that 2nd seed. He's never had the time to recover. He hasn't had the time to recover this year.
And generally, they'd sweep them, and then he'd have a week extra of rest, which at this rate doesn't look like they're going to have. Well, they're certainly not sweeping.